Welcome, everybody, to Episode 3 of the Super Smash Show. My name is Face. Today, I am joined by Soul Arts.
Hi.
Hello. And also joined by Hangman.
How's it going?
Doing well. So, on the agenda today, we wanted to talk a little bit about the results of the Big House. Definitely a lot of stuff happened over the past weekend that I want to talk about. And especially on the Melee side. I know.
Definitely a lot to talk about for Melee.
Yeah. And on top of that, I want to talk about the Smash 4 New York City PR that came out over the weekend or last week or whenever it was. And after that, I'd like to talk about some of the characters in depth that are on the Smash 4 Smash Ultimate roster. Specifically, let's take a dive into the original N64 cast, the original 8. But before we get to that, let's discuss some of the Big House results. So, Frank, you were looking at some of them before.
All right.
What caught your eye?
So, things that caught my eye, in particular, let's just bring it right to the front with the winner of Big House. It was, first of all, Melee Singles had 1,032 people in it.
Crazy numbers.
Really nice-sized bracket, considering, it's kind of in that, off period of sorts for tournaments. It's now it's starting to get into the fall and the winter. There's not as many tournaments as we start to approach the new year. Its numbers have been dwindling in a few tournaments now, but Melee looking strong for Big House.
Sure, for sure.
And it's traditionally, been a big Melee tournament, regardless of the presence of other Smash games at it.
Yeah.
Hungrybox won,
Of course.
which is, not too different from what we've been seeing lately. However, I feel like now the Hungrybox one is starting to really bring down on people, as this was the final tournament for Armada. Most notably, not having any presence in singles.
No. He this was the first tournament without
Without his
Armada and
singles.
Right. So this.
But he was in doubles.
Yes, he was in doubles. He got fifth. Pretty okay. I think we've seen them do better in doubles, obviously, but clearly he's taken a step back. So the fact that he's still able to, get top 5 in doubles, even while taking the game less super seriously, is pretty impressive. And, he always teams with Android, who is not of the same caliber as everybody else competing in doubles at that level. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad they're able to still do well. But, yeah, without Armada, it looks like a lot of interesting things happened as a result. Well, obviously, Hungrybox won, no Armada to defend. Was up to Plup and Mango. Yeah,
Mango rising to the occasion with a third place placing, which unfortunately, as of recent, that's a pretty good placing for him. He's sort of fallen by the wayside as...
him getting third is, impressive, in quotes, but I think that a lot of people were expecting him to win. There's the even-numbered Big House Mango tradition, I guess, or
which
history.
has now been broken.
Yeah,
shattered even.
First time it didn't happen. So that's a shame. But
Though he did it with Falco.
What's up? Yeah, he did go a lot of Falco, which is really, really cool. I guess a lot of Falco fans out there, or Mango fans out there, true Mango fans are probably very happy, And yeah, then of course there's the obvious.
Let's talk about bananas.
Yeah, let's discuss fruit.
So you're probably looking a little confused because.
Yeah, I'm not a Melee guy.
But
No,
have you ever heard of bananas?
I actually did hear of Banana when I was watching Big House. A couple people. It was at Sunday on this weekend actually. I believe it was Triff that mentioned it. Mentioned him.
Bananas, kind of a big deal that he had placed within the top 8, having placed 5th. An Ices main, and it's been a very long time since we've seen an Ices outside of the likes of Chudat, really. Place so well.
Yeah, Icy's always kind of skip around the bracket, definitely a surprise performance for sure. And and Fiction, the person that he beat, self-proclaimed Icy's expert, never loses to this character. Watch my VODs to learn what to do against this character. Not the kind of matchup you want to lose when you're proclaiming as some sort of authority on the idea.
To enter top 8, losing to that Ices, Fiction ended up placing 9th, which not a bad placing at all.
Honestly, it's not, but it's just very
poetic, as it were.
Yeah, right. And there was ensuing Twitter drama, of course. And I guess if you're interested in the Twitter drama, you have you had Leffen literally slam his controller into oblivion.
EX ground slam.
Literally, like the full wind up. It was
a rough scene to see.
yeah.
It happens to the best of them. Like,
Yeah.
Everyone's human. It's just the camera just so happened to catch it, and that controller saw it its end of days.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, let's move on to discuss some of the Smash 4 results as well.
So Smash 4, we had a bit more fun seeing a new champion now with Panda Global's own Cosmos having taken first place over a bracket of 281 entrants. Grand Finals was a full Panda Global cast with
Cosmos and Nissan.
Yep, Esam having placed second. But let's talk about the real star of the show here. Yeti. So Yeti is a Mega Man Toon Link duo main. So not characters that we see often. Having placed fourth, fun fact, this makes Yeti now the highest placing Toon Link player at a major since Hyuga had placed fifth at CEO 2016.
Wow. That's a pretty big gap.
And we haven't seen a Mega Man place this high either since Kameme had placed second at EVO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of obviously Cosmos winning, getting his first major win in there was super cool.
Yep.
A lot of cool stuff on the Smash 4 side, despite the low attendance. You had we had our own Vinny in there getting 17th. He's in there. He's up there.
He doesn't travel too often, so it's nice to see him placing well. It's to be expected that he could have gone better, although he, for some reason, seems to have an issue with Ness once he's out of the tri-state area. A very unfortunate character to run into, having been knocked out by Best Ness.
Right.
But
3-0,
best
I
Ness.
believe. 3-0, I believe.
it's now 3, if I remember correctly. It's at this stage in the game, if you had to have a character problem with an incredibly specific mid-tier, I guess this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, and it's I know you were mentioning to me the other day that Ness Rosa isn't as free as everybody claims, but it's still pretty good for Rosa, and Vinny has a Rosa in the pocket, so I wonder if he is considering. I don't know if he used Rosa in the match. I didn't get to see the match itself, but I don't know. Do you think maybe he should consider exploring that one?
It's possible. I personally feel like, and you could argue with me on this one, that Sheik does just as well in the Ness matchup. Cloud handles it rather well. Bayonetta also does notably well. Vinny has a pool of characters that can handle this character, and he certainly has the neutral to carry it over regardless of not having player experience, but everyone's got their demons.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Sheik was his best bet.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know do you know who he actually ended up going? Because
I would assume Sheik.
yeah, I don't know.
It's the safe bet.
Yeah, still worth thinking about, I guess, if you're Vinny. Like you said, this isn't the first time it's happened, but still, good stuff to him getting 17th.
I know Best Ness actually had to play Gact. Losers round one of was it top 48 out of pools?
I believe so, yeah. And it's because, as you're more inclined to the melee side of things, Gact is another Ness. That's Japan's best Ness player
believe so,
right now,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But not best Ness.
Not best Ness. Although, I guess there's just a lot of talented Ness that decided to attend the big house.
Cool.
But aside from other New York players that decided to attend, Dark Wizzy and Max Ketchum tied for 25th place.
Very good.
With Wizzy, he doesn't get a chance too often to travel that far out west. So it was nice to see him place, having lost, oddly enough, to more northern competitors. Black Twins and Thunder having knocked him out. And they're both, really high New York / Canada. So, a bit odd to lose people within his own realm. And then Max, who was actually a guest on last week's episode of
Right.
the Super Smash Show.
Yeah, that's awesome that he got 25th. Yeah, and hold on, we had one more other result I wanted to talk about too. Hold on, I lost it.
I believe it was.
Oh, SDX.
Yes.
Yeah, SDX.
So,
Getting 5th. That's our son.
That is the far north sun, having placed 5th, as you said, that making another really good top 8 run for him. He had to get knocked out by, it was Void. The Void put him in losers. And then, you're going to have to double check me on this one. I forgot who he lost to in
I have it here?
losers.
Let's see.
But-
He beat Mistake and Elegant, lost to Void and Tweak.
All right, so, this
Oh, Tweak had a great showing as well, obviously. So
Yeah, those are respectable losses to
Yeah,
have,
for
and another
sure.
good showing for overall New York.
Yeah.
Even though he's quite a ways away from us, where he is, SDX showing that New York is great from top to bottom.
Well, all right. So, anything else you wanted to bring up from the big house?
I feel like Tweak losing to Esam twice was kind of interesting. He was kind of character counterlocked, as we know Esam's really good against Bayonetta. He has a good track record against them. And Pikachu does notably well against Cloud as well.
Right.
So it just kind of leaves his... I think those are his only 2 characters. Right?
So I watched him play. I don't remember which of the 2 sets it was, but I watched the set where he went Donkey Kong as well. He went 3 characters in 3 games, lost
Right.
all 3. Like
And
the
DK
dude,
is regarded as one of Tweak's best characters.
yeah,
so-
like the guy was having a character crisis live on stage, and I was watching this dude just struggle with every single character in the book, and he just couldn't figure out how to do it. DK was looking most promising, if I'm going to be honest, of the 3 characters he tried, and he just didn't want to stick with it. You know, he was probably one grab away from getting the win that game, and he just wasn't feeling it.
It's unfortunate, but it's fairly characteristic of Esam as a player, where he has when he peaks, he has high peaks. He performs incredibly well. He's always been known as that kind of player that can really tangle for the throne, but some player or another ends up stopping in his path. But the Big House was definitely a good showing of his skill, having gotten second, losing to one of his Panda Global brothers, but that's in a really wayward matchup.
Yeah.
Like Corrin, this is the first time Corrin has won a major. Another important note. Not even like the realm of multi-character maining has Corrin really been shown.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought there would have been at least one, but I guess you're right. I can't think of one in recent memory, so.
MKLeo has been seen playing Corrin, but not to a relevant enough of a degree that we could really say it was like in that roster that led to his victory.
Okay.
But yeah, this being Corrin's first solo win especially, it just so happened for the stars to align for Cosmos to get a really nice matchup to make that happen.
Awesome.
Before we switch off of Big House, though, I do want to just bring up Smash 64, because 64 has had its place at the Big House as of late, although it was particularly light this year. Only 70 entrants, and not too many entrants of notable name. Of course, one of the best players in the world, Super Boom fan, another Panda Global
Yep.
member, managed to take it. But I feel like it's worth mentioning that it was there, but it doesn't feel like it was.
Yeah, even Smash 4, which had slightly lower numbers than usual, like, can laugh at such a small bracket for Smash 64. It's a real shame, you know? And I would hate to see this game kind of fall into obscurity, like, just because of how inaccessible it is. It's kind of tough, you know? You got to get used to a whole new controller. You got to get used to, like, such a very specific set of physics. And, I don't know, a lot of people just aren't about it. And I think that's a shame, because it's one of my favorite Smash games, if not my absolute favorite.
It's a very fun one, but seeing it have middling numbers at a event that's been championed as always being like the ultimate of grassroots in Smash and esports in general, it's a bit of a shame. I hope to see it bounce back next year, or at least see if Smash 64 rather rises in its relevance in other tournaments, because we know Genesis is coming up soon, and that's always been a really big stage for all Smash games.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's shift gears and let's talk about maybe the New York PR. So, first of all, Trevor and I guess Frank as well. Good stuff on the graphic.
Thank you.
Looked amazing, and obviously the buzz was number 1.
Yes.
And what else we got on there? Any other interesting things of note? Jay
So-
making appearance.
Yes.
That was
So-
the most interesting one.
That was
by far.
definitely like the big standout, especially here at home. But for the NYCLI PR, this was one of the longest ones it took for us to debate in person, but also one of the shortest ones for us to release. So big props to the rest of the PR council. A lot of hands went into making this this work. We had the largest council of all so far, with 11 members having an active presence during discussion, data retrieval, and fact-checking. 11 people. A lot of
Pretty
people.
impressive.
Yeah, obviously, it's awesome that despite having more people than ever, you were able to get it together faster than you ever have too. So normally those things are not correlated. Normally, the more people you have, the more too many chefs. You know, you're going to have some
Right.
sort of bumping heads. Nobody wants to get things done, and it ends up being a cluster. A
Very
cluster
chaotic.
of differing opinions, but. It's glad that you guys got it out quickly and efficiently, and it looks great too.
Thank you. I'll be perfectly honest with everyone. It took about 3 hours to draw all of the bongo cats, but it was a
In-
worthy effort.
In what program did you draw those?
Microsoft Paint.
Of course.
It works. When it works, it works. But it's worth noting that a lot of what we did with quarter three's PR was a response to the public response of quarter two, and to an extent, quarter one, where we made it more of a point to be transparent with our process. Most notably of the council, Fang made it a point that he was tweeting at like when stats were being gathered, when stats were being fact checked by the players that we were looking at, when discussions began, when they ended, how quickly the graphic was going to go out. All of these little steps to show people how like we were moving, we were making things happen with this PR.
Right.
Also, we made it a point to analyze like every angle. A lot of New York, like parts of the New York City and Long Island area had traveled a lot during the summer. It was a very active summer. So because of that, there was a lot to look at. We had to look at a lot of out-of-region events. We had to look at a lot of events that were here at home because during that period, we had the Waypoint locals to track. We also had occasional events that were in the city that only come up, not even quarterly, but more seasonally. Mercy Rushdown 4 comes to mind. Players that appeared at random locals, and we had to take those into account for whoever out of region they played. For instance, Venia appearing at a CFL SmackDown, which was particularly random, but he did place well at that event.
Right.
There was a lot to look at, but we wanted to make sure that everyone was recognized for their efforts this quarter, and it led to a lot of moving up and down, and of course, as we briefly mentioned, Jay being placed on. Now, from an outsider's perspective, what does it mean to you, Solar? It's that a Long Islander who doesn't travel as much made it onto the NYC LIPR.
Very surprising, but at the same time very expecting. We all know, at least here on Long Island, Jay is a really good player who, if he did travel more, would probably be top 10, like easily. But for him not to travel at all during the summer and still make it on somehow, it definitely shows that Long Island has more of an impact than people think it does. I know a lot of people, when critiquing the NYPR, think that Long Island is less in consideration than Zeno, but I feel like Jay being on there makes a really good point about we're still included. We still matter just as much as Zeno or any other local for that matter.
It's worth noting how, like, New York's big. It's not, like, the biggest of states. The United States is just incredibly large, but, like, if you go from top to bottom, we've got about 8 or 9 subregions. New York City, Long Island is just one of them.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot to consider when people are saying, like, the New York PR and standing up with amongst all of New York. Like, there's a lot that's got to be looked at. So when you bring down that scope, still a lot of talent we got to look at.
Oh, definitely. Like upstate players like SDX and Dark Wizzy, for instance.
No, yeah, we don't even. They're not in the same realm as us. As Player 4 has playfully joked, if he has to take a flight to your locals, he's in a different region.
Yeah.
I feel like that can be felt across any game, really.
Yeah. I mean, like, definitely unfortunate that like some amazing players like SDX, just trapped in obscure regions, faraway regions. It's a shame. But so what were the final? When all the dust settled, you had I think Sinji ended up sliding down a spot. You
Yes.
had was it Dill that moved up 3 spots or something?
So as far as movements go, one of our most notables that Venia had placed
Venia.
highly.
Yeah, he moved up 3
Venia was
spots.
placed up to, I believe it was 3,
Third, yes.
making that his highest placing on the New York PR, which I feel is more of a testament to defending the house than anything else, because Venia, of all of the New York players, most notably, does not travel.
Yeah.
He has no time in his schedule to travel outside of the boroughs. He's only made 2 appearances here at Aeon of all time. Very rarely does he get that opportunity to travel, so a lot of his results are pulled from Xeno weeklies, events that are held by Deadly Alliance, and any regional event that's held within the 5 boroughs. And he's just that consistent of a player. So to see him always taking locals that he goes to, or like just barely losing, and when he does lose to players, it's almost entirely within the PR. It's a testament to his skill. And
Yeah,
that
for sure.
consistency was shown very well this quarter. Dill placed, I believe he tied 9th from his quarter 1 performance.
Yes, he did. He got 9th. That one I know.
Other things to note. I think it was just Mr. E getting second, although, as discussed last week, Mr. E had quite the summer so far, having placed 5th at EVO. He's been doing fantastic here at home.
So let's talk about that. Like, how heavily do you guys consider out-of-region results in the PR making process?
Not super heavily.
Okay.
Like, it's a lot of results are viewed from as neutral of a standpoint as we can. So, for instance, for EVO, we don't take into consideration that the tournament is almost exclusively a best of two, or best of three, first to two. Yeah,
Yes.
the terminology changes. Anyways, we don't take that into account. We take into account the wins that he got and where he placed. We look at the losses, but that's really only looked at just for like a point of conversation. It's not like a definite impact. It's not like if you lose to an absolute random or the best in the world where it slides around in relevance, unless you're looking at an absolute dead tie, which has almost never happened. Either way, Mr. E's performance at the EVO, he placed 5th. He got a lot of wins to get there. That's what's looked at mostly. We take more a look at PR players, and then we sort of scale like how relevant the PR win is. In a way, shout-outs to Light for losing to almost everyone on the PR, because he was everyone's best win.
Yeah.
Almost across the board.
Wow.
Well, when you're a player of that caliber and you're you go to a lot of events in region, then you're going to have a lot of opportunities to lose to those players.
Yeah.
You know, especially when Light was a player who was kind of on the climb lately, and you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. So
It's kind of
along the way. If he's going to establish that he's good, he's going to have to attend a lot of things. So.
Yeah, I know we're talking more about Tri-State and Long Island specifically right now, but just take a look at Light, and he's like a microcosm of what you want to see in a player growing, because he went from winning the New England Arcadian 2 years ago to being just barely recognized on the PGR last version. Mm-hmm. Now he's top 15 in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a perfect attendance rate here at Aeon for our regionals. He's been appearing a lot at the Xeno regionals held by House of 3000. He's just around. He's making sure that he gets those results. He earns them. It's definitely the model of a player that you want to emulate if you really want to win, you really want to prove your worth.
Yeah, and he's an awesome dude, so that's cool. I don't know. What do you think, man? We got LI as number 1 and 2 on the New York City PR. It's pretty good.
It's nice.
LA's kind of nice.
Yeah,
Kind of
I
good
mean,
at this
like
game.
it's kind of indicative of like why it should have always really been, and why it is now so heavily considered when you look at the PR on the whole. It's like, the higher level of competition, I guess, on average in the city might be better, and therefore you might want to take it more seriously. But I think while our density is lower of talented players, I think that we just so happen to have the 2 best ones on the PR. We've also got Vinny, and like. You put it all together, and it's like it's probably harder to do well at a Long Island local than it is in a New York City local, when at the highest of high levels.
I would agree to that.
It's harder to win an LI local than it is, to win a Xeno.
Yeah, we have 2 PGR level players here.
Yeah.
Mystery's not on the PGR anymore, but he had kind of an inactive season.
Yeah,
Right.
easily could be if
He was
the drive.
previously.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think he's gotten any worse. I think, if anything, he's gotten better, as you saw with his performance. What was it again? Was it
Evo?
Evo.
Yeah. That kind of
So-
a good reminder to everyone. Like, hey, I'm still good.
He's still here.
Yep.
So for the NYPR, when you talk about out-of-region results, something interesting to note I wanted to ask you about was Ralphie's consideration. He got 9th at SmashCon. He did really
Yes, he
well,
did.
got some pretty good wins. How was that all factored into...
So when we look at a player like Ralphie, we'll take him for instance because he had slid down from his placements from last quarter and the quarter before that. We don't just look at the placement number. Like, yes, it's very impressive that he got 9th. But we also have to take into account who he beat to get there.
Right.
And, of course, Ralphie beating Ally is the win to look at for what got him on that path. But besides that, he only had 2 other notable wins, and they were of, to put it bluntly, lesser value than Ally. They were PR'd wins in their own regions, but they weren't much else to speak of. So they're worth jotting down for us. But when we're comparing the wins, it's like you don't put Maji Maji next to Ally in the same tier. despite Ally still having slid down a little bit, and Super Smash Con actually being Maji's best placement as well, him having a fantastic run. For those unaware, that's Ireland's number one. He's a Mewtwo player who's a really good show of what the EU can bring to the table. But you don't just look at how well they got there; you have to look at how they got there.
Right.
And sometimes a player can have an easier route to getting a number than another. Say, for instance, a player happens to drop out.
Is that what happened with Ralphie? Did he get a bye?
There was another player who it was on a different side of bracket for Smash 4, and this is, I believe, it's Super Smash Con. In fact, someone dropped out, and because of that,
a lesser opponent progressed to play Ralphie or something.
yeah, it opened up a path for someone who would have not normally gotten to there to have to fight, which that has an impact.
Yeah.
So we can't just look at the raw ninth. We have to look at how they got there, and we do that for all tournaments. It's not just we look at that specific situation in Super Smash Con. We also look at, say, for instance, an All or Nothing, where we have to see, all right, so this player got fourth. This player almost never gets fourth. How'd they get there? And if there was some random upset that happened, it could open up a pathway for someone.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I know at a lot of Aeon regionals, Juice is always listed on attendance. He always been bracket. But Juice just never shows up. And always opens some sort of path for somebody to get squeeze out of pools.
Pennsylvania does not have good attendance records here.
Oh, yeah.
6WX is the only notable exception. He attends fine.
Yeah, he makes it a point to get out here.
When there isn't winter hailstorms.
Right. Why do you please come back?
So, anything you want to discuss further about the PR? Maybe even a sneak preview of the LIPR? I don't know if you're involved in that at all.
So I am not involved with the Long Island PR. I've offered to give assistance on the technical side of things.
Sure.
In the event that whatever they want to do, if they just need to know the process, just because as of Q3, I'm now on the NYC LIPR for a year now.
Okay.
And I figure even though a year isn't much compared to the rest of the veteran members of it, such as Dill, DeBuzz, Rapture, I figure a year of experience is still something I can lend to a group that's looking to make a new PR in a sub-region.
Right.
And you can argue, Long Island's a sub-region of a sub-region and whatnot, but we have enough activity that there is an argument there for people starting up a new PR. And
oh, yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't hurt for us to have another PR. It's just another measure to grade something.
To me, it's more recognition to all these players who don't have the capabilities to travel out to Xeno. Because as I was discussing with you before, the NYCPR is definitely not a Xeno Grindfest, as shown that Long Island is taken into consideration. But we can definitely say that Xeno has a higher value because there are more PR players there. The majority, 8 out of 10 spots all go to Xeno? 7?
7 now.
Because now Jay's on there.
That is true. So 7 out of 10 spots all go to Xeno. It's more chances for PR wins. And as we saw tonight's Xeno, quite a few upsets happened. Tonight's Xeno's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any viewers who had seen tonight's Xeno or if they were following that on House, but with Dre Charles beating Venia, that's a very solid PR win for him, and very rare for Venia to lose out of the PR.
Yeah.
Venia's my boy, but when he takes his losses, it's very rare to see it happen to someone outside of the top 10. But props to Dre, he's also my boy.
So I do know that you are a little more involved in the Long Island PR. Thoughts? How's it coming?
It's going along. October 31st is the current planned release date. We might push it up a little bit further.
Ooh, spooky.
Who knows? Right now, we're just waiting on Yoshi's Island because that's going to be the last qualifiable event for the PR. And for me, my role on the team, at least, is just skill keeper. I track skills. I do ELO rankings. It's not going to be an ELO ranking. There's going to be a panel and such, but ELO ranking serves like a template. As I'm sure the NYPR does something similar.
It's of the same idea. We use different tools, but there's definitely merit to using a combination instead of just having a panel, just having ELO.
Right.
Because in reality, an ELO doesn't show a proper showing of skills. You can't just scale 1 through 10 and give that flat. Yeah, it's a showing of who's a 1 to 10, but it's not really indicative of how hard a player works for it, if it's a particular surprise in that quarter, something of that nature. And then, of course, you can't just do panel because there's a chance of exclusively being a panel that just opens up to being a popularity contest, and no one wants to see that.
Something.
Yeah.
Something I've definitely noticed about Skill Keeper as a program is upsets are very highly valued.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is, for example, something I've noticed within Skillkeeper is players that don't attend Aeons often, such as Ralphie, and I know Bankai's somewhere on there, they're not valued as upsets because they're not high enough within Skillkeeper itself, because they only have such a limited runs here.
Yes, and that's exactly where the panel comes in, right?
Yep, and then the panel's also taking into consideration out of region results, for instance, because I'm not manually removing like 200 plus people from Skillkeeper. I'm not doing that.
It's a lot of work to ask of one person in such a short amount of time.
Oh yeah, so we're definitely gonna take out of region results in consideration with the panel. A lot of Long Island players traveled over Clock 3. I know our carpool went out. SmashCon, Shine, whatever else happened this summer. And upsets there, bracket wins, bracket paths, as we were just discussing. Stuff like that will be taken into consideration when talking with the panel, and it'll be fun, I think. I think it's definitely good for Long Island to get some recognition, and that's all I could really hope for coming out of this.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I just want to see like one or two players notice that, hey, I've been doing better than I have in the past, and it makes them happy and motivates them to come back. That's really all you need.
As someone who's, as both of you know, very active in the Long Island Smash 4 scene, but taking from like an outsider's perspective to the PR, one thing I look forward to is our mid-level players, or like where our upper echelon begins, being recognized. So when it comes to the city, for instance, a lot of their mid-level players are more well-known. So like take, for instance, Bankai, a player who's only been PR'd once, but has always been on the cusp of being PR'd. He's always regarded as one of the higher-ups. Like, if we had a higher number representing our PR...
Like top 15.
Yeah, if we did have a top 15 or a top 20, Bankai would find himself in that range often enough.
Right.
Whereas if we looked at that same relative skill level here on Long Island, we get players like Kofi or Cyberman, players who we on the island know are very good, and they have a reputation in the city, but outside of that, they're not nearly as well known. They don't have an opportunity to travel as much, and because of that, they don't find themselves with the opportunity to get PR'd for the NYCLI PR.
Right.
So I feel like if they're highly ranked on a Long Island PR, it's a good way to showcase, hey, we see you.
And something I definitely like about Long Island specifically, everyone here is so welcoming and so supportive of one another. And this I definitely feel can encourage a lot of players to do better, push themselves even further, and just overall try and do better. So I definitely feel like that's another plus side. It could also open up community discussion, because something I noticed as a weakness, at least here, is there's not a lot of talk about random things. It's always just small talk. There's never like any big discussions going on within Long Island, I've tended to notice. So,
which is fair. I mean, there's only so much you can talk to if you see someone every Friday. But if you get a discussion going, then at least you have something new to talk about. You get to meet people within the community, see their perspectives on things. And there's always interesting opinions amongst Long Island. I'm not going to say that everyone's got great opinions. We're particularly feisty when it comes to discussion, but it's nice to have those discussions, I feel.
I think one of the bigger issues with like open forum discussions is that a lot of the times they'll be happening in places. I think there's two problems, but one of them is they're happening in places where like intelligent discussions aren't encouraged. So like a Facebook post, for example. A Facebook post isn't going to encourage any sort of college thesis level discussion. You're going to get like a quick like, oh, I'm on my phone, let me just type like something real fast, and that's going to result in a hastily like created argument that's just a bunch of like just a bunch of BS, whatever's on their mind. It's just going to be quick, like, gut reaction, like, how do you feel about this matchup? It's like, oh, I have 3 seconds to type this. It's bad, It's like, that's not going to create any sort of in-depth discussion.
Right.
But I think the even larger problem is that, and it's entwined with that first thing where, like, if it's happening all on Facebook or something, then you're going to end up with a lot of, like, bad actors that, like, the trolls, like, are going to come out. That's just what happens on the internet, and these in-depth discussions that I think we could actually be creating and having. There's a lot of smart people, I know you're often looking to spark some sort of conversation in the community, but like you're going to get an echo chamber of trolls and like ignorant opinions that just they're the loudest ones in the room. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, usually people with like well-formed opinions are just going to keep them to themselves, and that's a shame. And I think we should try to encourage open discussion more amongst our, not specifically just our top players, but amongst our more friendly players, because an opinion isn't useful unless it's given in a positive way. You know, if you're just trying to spread hate all around like you get on Facebook a lot, then then it becomes a sewer. You know.
This is definitely something where I feel like other platforms like Discord can work out, for instance. However, for some reason, no one here wants to use Discord. I've noticed.
It's weird. Long Island has enough people to constitute having a Discord.
We have
server.
a Discord server.
You'd think it would see more.
It
use.
lasted like a week. And that was it. Done.
It's
Gone.
a shame.
I'm also not on the Discord life. I don't know.
For what it's worth, though, our scene seems to be universally centered on Facebook, which, although an oddity, is at least consistent.
Yeah.
It's like a broken rule that's consistent to its own break. Like, if everyone's going to be on Facebook, everyone ends up on Facebook. So that's where a majority of the discussion goes. And as you outlined pretty well, Face, it's never like the best format of discussion.
Right.
There's always different ways to have it, whether it's on a podcast like this or if it's an in-person discussion.
Yeah, I think if we're going to try to encourage positive discussions, maybe we should do it amongst ourselves. But speaking of positive discussions, let's now move on to our last topic of the day, which is going to be just quickly reviewing and discussing, theorizing. Some of the Smash Ultimate roster. Specifically, we're going to look at the Smash 64 initial characters, the original 8, and see if there's any notable changes. So I have some notes here. So let's obviously start with the OG man himself. We got Mario, right? So Mario, as you can see behind us, he does have some slight changes. He's got a new taunt, He's got the cappy, He also has some new costumes. He has the new wedding costume, and what's the other one?
The builder from Mario Maker.
That's right, the builder. So, but he appears, pretty much just like Smash 4 Mario. Even in the Invitational, we saw a lot of use from, I guess Zero used him a lot, right?
Yeah, Zero managed to win the first Invitational with Mario over MKLeo's Sonic, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
That's
so
a classic battle right there.
classic battle. Also worth noting, not a fun one in Smash 4. So
But it looked mostly the same.
for the most part, things panned out the way that they do in Smash 4, which I guess that's also sort of a sign of how similar in design Smash Ultimate is, or at the very least where the basis of the engine is found. But also I feel like Mario's a good way to show like what's different, what are we supposed to be looking at. A lot of his moves just seem like they hit harder. Combos don't seem as present, which being able to string your hits along is much bigger of a deal for Mario in Smash 4 than, say, for instance, in Melee or what it's looking like to be in Ultimate.
Yeah, any knockback changes, Mario's going to feel them a lot harder than other characters because his combos are very like percent sensitive. Like his down throw up tilt stops working at like mysterious percents on this vast array of characters. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. Like he's a very specific character.
It's definitely the balloon knockback coming into play a lot. It seems to just effectively eliminate most grab combos. Like most grab combos are kind of just gone, and there are some still present. I know Marth's down throw up air still works. I think Donkey Kong still has some low percent combos out of cargo throw, but overall for most of the cast, everything's just gone, and combos are more definitely like hit by hit case.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to freestyle a little bit more. Like Smash 4 was definitely like this character has ding dong, beep boop, whatever. Everybody had their like this one character has throw into this, throw into that. And if you don't have that, then you're just not a helmet character. Just strap on your helmet and just run at your opponent. And I think that's interesting that they took a lot of those out in favor of a more like melee style combo system where it's just like you just kind of make it up as you go, which I think is cool. So let's move on now to Donkey Kong. So I think it looks way better right off the bat, right? I think the graphical improvements show much more. They're more emphasized on like fur or hair oriented characters. You know what I'm saying?
Donkey Kong has always been the basis of showing like what the style of the game is going to be, like where the graphical focuses have been. And I feel like just progressively, Donkey Kong has gotten more cartoony. He does a great job of showing emotion with everything he does. While we were just going over footage from tournaments, from like over-the-shoulder phone cams, and even the trailers, you could see that every one of Donkey Kong's hits has some knockback to it. Whether or not that's the special effects or if they just
the effects really drive it home, though. It's it's not just for show. It's like he really does seem like he hits harder. His animations look really smooth now. Like his neutral B has a much cleaner looking punch to it, and he has a new Final Smash too that looks pretty crispy.
The wind-up animation is different as well.
Yeah.
And on the technical side of things, they're changing him up a lot. Ding Dong is gone now. He only has low percent cargo combos. But something interesting to know is hand slap down B. You can... when you B reverse it, it goes a lot further now. It's more of a smooth transition from air to ground. And he can combo out of it in up air and up smash a kill percent. So he definitely has some sort of like kill setup still.
I feel like this is going to be a very new Donkey Kong that we're going to see in Ultimate compared to what we've seen from, I think, even from 64 all the way through to Smash 4, where he's always been centered around cargo throw. It's
even in 64. All right, so in 64, sorry to tangent, he can cargo throw and then like just cargo throw release and then grab again, and he's like a +8 frame advantage or something ridiculous like that. It's a true infinite to infinity percent on the entire cast. It's silly, except on Donkey Kong, I think, who has plus like 9 on grab release. So he actually ends up, or +8. So he actually ends up breaking even. I don't know. Anyway, like
that's terrifying.
and I think it's similar.
And
I think it's similar in Melee as well, where like on certain characters he has like a dumb advantage on
So
cargo release.
how's he not the best character in 64? Makes me wonder that.
So neutral game's important in that game, like he's a slow, clunky, he doesn't even have a down B in the air, like slow, clunky character. He basically has no B moves. Neutral B is, not going to be useful in neutral.
Also awful.
Recovery's terrible. So he's got the grab and you win, don't and you lose. So
Simple, but
very
effective.
Ice Climbers-esque, like very Melee-esque,
Okay.
Plus, they can, if you get the grab on a platform, it's different. I don't know. Anyway, in Smash Ultimate, I think he's looking pretty good. I think he's looking better than ever. I really like his new Final Smash. It's actually accurate to the games. It's what he does at the end, of a level in the Tropical Freeze game and the Donkey Kong Country Returns game. So I think that's pretty cool. I like to see them take more inspiration from the actual games. So let's move on now to Link. He
That's a big redesign.
different, big like capital letters in the notes. Like, yeah, he's huge, like, crazy different. Like almost nothing.
This
in
is a
terms
new
of
character.
visual. Yeah, this is basically a new character, which I'm really excited about because I love Breath of the Wild so much, and I'm very, very excited to play this character. Makes me really actually want to play Link. Like, oh, look at that Final Smash. So he got a new Final Smash right out of Breath of the Wild. He shoots the
Ancient arrows.
The ancient arrows, yeah, and his arrows are different as well. He can pick up shot arrows and shoot like 2 at a time, which is so cool. Like this looks like it means nothing in terms of gameplay, but it's like these little touches that I really, really like in terms of like aesthetics and overall like game feel. It really makes you feel like you're playing a character right out of the game. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Sakurai definitely does a good job at encapsulating that feel.
Yeah. He definitely did a good job. We didn't even talk about the remote bombs, which is
Oh yeah, that's another
So
big change.
they're a big change, but I feel like they're a change in the wrong direction.
they're bad. They seem horrible because it's like rather than throwing something that's an active hitbox at your opponent, you're throwing something that does nothing if you don't hit the button again. So and if you hit the detonator, you're adding more lag to an already like medium move. Like bombs weren't the best. They were good, but they weren't like the best.
The
So
one
now-
plus to them is that the explosion range is definitely like huge now.
Oh yeah, they really made them feel like bombs. Like this is this you got to clear out of the. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, much like the actual game. So sorry, if you're near those bombs and you're near a cliff, you're going
One
flying.
thing I feel like not a lot of people have discussed, but might be a big deal for Link is much like Legend of Zelda 1, and I think a few other titles in the series. When he's at full health, and in this situation 0%,
Right.
he throws a beam of light from his sword.
Yes, that's so cool. Like,
That's going to be a big deal early on.
and it'll be a bigger deal the more stocks there are too, because like every time if you have 4 stocks theoretically, which I don't think we're gonna have, but with 4 stocks, that's 4 chances to throw these laser sword beams, which is cool. And
I feel
obviously,
like it depends on how strong they are.
yeah, they're probably not going to be too strong. I imagine they'll be very similar to like Fox or maybe even Falco lasers. I would imagine I don't know if we've seen them have knockback at all, but they're probably going to have minimal, if any, knockback.
I was doing something like Cloud's Blade Beam.
Yeah, something
Something along those lines.
like that you don't mind getting hit by.
I think
Yeah.
it's worth noting that like it's a projectile that's thrown out for him doing something else. Like if he's trying to space with his jab, and there also happens to be a projectile in the way, that's something that
Does
the
he
opponent
still
has.
have a rapid jab?
I have not seen it.
Maybe he doesn't.
I don't believe so. He didn't have one in Smash 4, though.
Yeah, from a few aesthetic changes, it's worth noting that like he wields the sword different, he swings different with it.
Sword seems really long.
This is
too.
the first time,
Oh, yeah.
by the way, that we have a Link who's right-handed wielding the Master Sword. He's always usually lefty, and that's represented in Smash. But this one's a righty. The animations are different in his jabs. I don't know if that has an impact. I haven't seen a rapid jab from any like poor quality cell phone videos that we've seen, and there's plenty of those across
Yeah, so it's
YouTube
probably
and
not,
Twitter.
especially since now there's 3 other links, so they probably gave it to both of those, if not, just one of them.
Just not him, maybe.
Yeah. All right,
it
so
remains to be seen.
So let's move on to Samus now. Not too many changes in the Samus department. Again, I'm going to start with aesthetics. I'm really disappointed with how Samus looks, if I'm being real.
Really?
Really?
So, Samus, they're using her Other M design again, and Other M is like, it's like the least popular game in the franchise. Like no one likes Other M for whatever reason. So why pull from such an unpopular game when you could, like, pull from? Yeah, Prime 4 is around the corner. You could be pulling from the Prime series, or you could be pulling from the most recent Metroid game, which you'd think they would automatically do, Samus Returns on the 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
That aesthetic was amazing, and they could have even pulled more inspiration in terms of like character movements. So like Samus has had the same moveset since Melee, and like for better or worse, right? I think those bombs have gotten worse and worse every time.
It's honestly been for worse or
Yeah.
worse. Like,
Yeah, it's worse. Exactly. It's for worse. Like, her moveset's not the... She's been bad in almost every game and getting worse as it goes. But, like, in Samus Returns, she has a new melee counter, and I think that could have been interesting to integrate. It's a very, like... it's a very Smash Bros. Move, because she just does, like, a big, like, uppercut with her gun. And, like, that's an up smash right there, right? And instead, she has this up smash that has never... That's never seen...
historically, it has not worked.
It has never worked, ever. So I don't know why they insist on that move, which has no relation to any game, when they could have given her a perfectly natural counter move. Not an actual counter, but a perfectly naturally looking move that's right from the game. And they didn't.
For what it's worth, though, she is the technically first character chronologically with an Echo Fighter.
That's right.
As Dark Samus is pulled from Samus's kit.
Right.
And while aesthetically there's a lot of changes here, we see a character floats. She seems to hover around as she dodges things. Her missiles look different. A lot of her attacks seem more
Her
brutal.
roll is an actual roll rather than than the slow Samus roll that we're used to, which could be better. You said recently, I love this animation.
Yeah. Reportedly, it has the same frame data, so it gets to share the spot of being absolutely terrible.
Yeah, almost useless. But both
Looks cooler.
Both,
Yeah.
it does look cool. That's one thing this character has going for her. It is
Yeah.
cool, very cool. And both Dark Samus and Samus can charge their beam in the air, which is a buff. It's a buff. That's definitely better than it was before. So hopefully hopefully Samus players can use that and do better than they have in Smash 4, which is they haven't really made any waves. I don't think I've seen any Samus player do anything.
The most relevant one of them all was Icy Mist, having placed very well at Super Smash Con this year.
Yes.
And she placed 13th?
I think it was that.
Yeah,
Something like
13th
that.
or 9th. Incredibly well. Her best placement in a major. And the best showing of Samus, unless you count ESAM duo maining Samus. Which, I mean, I guess that counts, but that's ESAM.
Very, very, very nice that we're getting another Metroid character at all, and it's cool that Samus now has her own Echo, since Mario's had one, since Dr. Mario and since Luigi, I guess even technically.
Doc is not even listed as an Echo.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's not.
That's the strange part.
He's his own thing. I guess
Luigi
we'll get to
and
that in the
Doc
next
are-
episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so.
Next time we go over characters, I'll bring them in for sure. But let's talk about Yoshi. Obviously, we have our good plush friend here, Yoshi.
The Frumpy Boy.
Yeah.
We actually don't know much about the Frumpy Boy.
Eggs bounce.
Eggs Bounce, which we see in his character trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing incredibly eagle-eyed viewers have managed to see from the most recent Nintendo Direct, there is a very general Nintendo commercial at the end of it. And during it, there's a portion that has Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yoshi's seen using Yoshi Bomb, his down special move, which he's had forever. But people were able to see in that one, I think it might be a second and a half portion, that it appears that Yoshi Bomb now has super armor as Yoshi rises up to use it.
Huh.
Now, you have been in an endless fight against Yoshis in Smash 4. If probably one of the more seasoned players on Long Island who's consistently had to run into, whether it be Lucius, Suarez, Raptor, any combination of the three, and then some when it comes to Yoshis. How do you feel about a new move, or the same move, but now super armor?
I don't like this character.
Yeah. I'm also
I've had
not a fan.
enough.
Yeah, we will talk more about this at the end of the episode, but we've been definitely trying to we've been trying to ban Yoshi for quite a while. You know,
Character's a bit of a problem.
this dude's been evading paying his taxes. It's gotta end. Hopefully,
So many.
yeah, this character unfortunately looks better than he did in Smash 4, and you know that's a problem because he's already annoying enough.
So many Yoshi memes on this island. Tax fraud. Gimp Yoshi, he dies.
If you gimp
Yeah.
Yoshi,
Ban
you will
Yoshi.
die.
That is true. I've heard
I
that.
mean, I've gimped Yoshis before.
They
Yeah.
died.
Exactly.
It's born to happen. They are born to get gimped.
That is true. Mario just.
Traditionally. So aside from this, moving forward, who else do we have
Well,
next?
last thing I want to talk about with Yoshi is that there's a new skin that has been seen with him. We've talked about this before on
Yarn
the show,
Yoshi,
but
that's right.
yeah, the felt Yoshi, it looks literally just like this plot. It's crazy.
Yoshi from Yoshi's Crafted World as
Yeah.
a exclusive, not exclusive skin, but like a new skin. Where if you've seen the trailer for Yoshi's Crafted World, there's much more of a felt, handcraft aesthetic to the entire game.
Yeah.
And even though Yoshi's the same colors in his Crafted World aesthetic as he is in his normal one, you see that he's made of some sort of felt. You
Oh, yeah.
see that there's a lot of detail put into
The
this.
detail in this game.
I'm really surprised they didn't do that with Kirby because Kirby's been in craft-related games of his own. But even the clay one, I think that would have been such a cool skin for Kirby. But yeah, why don't we actually talk about Kirby? So Kirby is another OG Smash character.
And Kirby doesn't seem like he's changed much.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, we got the chest from Breath of the Wild. I know it's a
Yeah.
down B, but that's all.
Yeah, when he turns into Rock Kirby, he can
That's about
turn into
it.
that.
Yeah.
Is there a new Final Smash or is it the same?
No, he's got Final Cutter. He's,
All right.
Or I think it's Hyper Final Cutter because it's Final Cutters is up. Anyways, I think one thing to talk about with Kirby, and this isn't something we've really seen too much of, but his neutral B, one of his signature moves is the inhale and copy abilities. And there's a new host of characters for him to steal from now.
Oh yeah.
And Kirby's always had that, does he want inhale in a matchup or does he want the copy ability? Because at least taking things into Smash 4, where, you know, Kirby's a relevant character in our game compared to yours,
Yes.
there are some matchups where he's much better off stealing an ability. For instance, Sheik, one of the most notable matchups where he could steal needles and it's a better projectile for Kirby.
I think Pikachu's another good example. Like you get that Thunder Jolt, he can actually utilize short hop Thunder Jolt and get away with it, whereas Pikachu can't quite do that. So, yeah,
We have Inkling.
I'd say like if they were to put effort into Inkling's gonna be another crazy one. Like he starts like he doesn't get to like do everything Inkling would do, which is weird.
Right.
It's a very like specific. How does it work exactly?
So, the way, for at least Inkling's mechanics as we understand them, all of Inkling's moves that put ink on the opponent makes more damage for them when they're inked.
Right.
From what I've seen, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that his neutral B is the splat bombs, and Kirby doesn't seem to put ink on the opponents.
So they just kind of
They're just bombs.
They're just
a
bombs, they just do
projectile.
damage. All right, that makes sense because it's you can't introduce an entire like gimmick in one B move. So
Right.
that kind of makes sense.
But Kirby can definitely get a host of new copy abilities. Ridley's Fireballs, for instance.
Those, I think,
feel like
might
those
be-
are going to be a good one.
Yeah, those are going to be good on Ridley too. But yeah, anyone with those
Oh, yeah.
with that move is going to be very powerful.
The Belmonts have their cross.
That's the neutral B?
I believe
Okay.
it's cross. Yeah, because Axe is side B, Holy Water is down B. They have a regular uppercut for their up B. And cross, which, if you're familiar with the Castlevania games, or even if you've just seen the trailers, the cross flies forward and then boomerangs itself back.
Okay.
Kirby with that seems pretty scary.
It could be something good, especially if it's just a move that lands just enough hit stun for Kirby to come in, and we have seen that the Belmonts can move with their cross as an active projectile. If Kirby can move while his cross is active, that's a perfect opportunity for Kirby to run in and grab, and traditionally Kirby has been very much about his grab.
That could also be really annoying because Kirby's shorter height throws it even lower.
Yeah.
Could be a good lightning trap even.
So it's definitely something worth noting, whether or not it's in doubles or if it's in the Kirby Belmont matchup.
Oh yeah, and even like the older veterans, like Robin, for instance, Kirby can steal neutral B. Which brings up the question: will the UI still show Kirby's neutral B?
I
wouldn't
imagine
believe
any like additional UI that Robin would get, or any other character. Rob doesn't get one, right? Rob just shows on his.
No, yeah.
Robin.
Well,
Robin
now
shows
he or
up,
she
so I
does.
imagine that Kirby would get that too.
Yeah, Rob traditionally has been able to see how strong his laser is by the beeping on his head.
And now his up B gauge is on his body. I'm surprised they put it on his body and not where Robin's thing is on above the
Yeah,
side.
it's
That seems
weird.
It's inconsistent.
Aesthetically, it's cool.
Yes.
But it is inconsistent.
I feel like they want to make it so it's not too obvious for certain players because that kind of keeps track of can I give him or not.
The Rob player should know. The Rob opponent probably won't. So like the fact that they're making it more obvious is just hurting Rob.
Right.
Oh yeah, and other copy abilities like Shulk's Monado Arts.
Those are a really big deal.
He gets that. That's it.
Yeah.
Whenever I play against our local Kirby player, Brother Quang, I always put a focus on don't get inhaled. That's
Yeah.
my first thought.
Now, do you think that's going to carry over in Ultimate?
Oh yeah, I will. I mean, I
It's going to
personally,
be better because presumably Kirby will be able to do the quick change with the direction wheel.
that is true now. Actually,
Yeah.
very true.
That's another 5 years of you worrying about the weirdest matchup ever.
Imagine Kirby, was it forward throw to forward air to Monado change to jump down air or something like that. That sounds scary.
It's definitely something to worry about. We also have other newcomers, K. Rool, who
Crown is neutral B.
I think Crown is neutral B.
I have to assume as much.
Oh wait, no, I think it might be Blunderbuss.
That's probably it then. Yeah.
It's one or the other. Which is Blunderbuss itself is a host of different things. From the projectile to the inhale itself, it's sort of a more complex version of Kirby's current neutral B. It remains to be seen which one that is. I would have to double check that. But either way, those are just more projectiles in a maybe not really projectile-oriented matchup. And then we get Isabelle, who is Pocket again.
Somehow non-Echo Fighter Villager. I was really surprised when I saw that. Definitely.
It seems like she has enough in her kit to fundamentally change her from Villager, so I can
The
see
side
why.
B, fishing rod.
Fishing Rod's going to add a lot.
Oh, yeah.
As someone who's done an extensive study on Villager as a character, seeing those little changes here make big differences for the character. But
Oh, yeah.
Pocket, it seems the same for Isabelle as it is for Villager. It doesn't seem like she has as many projectiles, so it might be not as useful.
Well, I feel like the game breaker between that is her forward air the same? Is her back air the same?
Yes.
If that's the case, then getting Pocket in that matchup would be huge.
Right.
So, all right, let's move on then to Fox, who got a pretty nice. We actually had his trailer, his character highlight on the blog this week, and Sakurai was pointing out that his visual upgrade is beautiful. It's from the new Star Fox Zero.
Yes.
So we have a different voice actor.
Yes, it's
huge to
It
note.
is the returning voice actor coming back because the original voice actors from 64 reprised their roles in Zero. So not the Assault voice actors for those of you who are going to miss Squeaky voiced Fox. So at least one thing that I've noticed in when I watch gameplay of Fox is it seems like a lot of the tools he has is very much the same.
Yeah.
Seems like they all serve the same purpose. Maybe down tilt seems a bit like it hits a bit heavier, but overall I feel like Fox is at the mercy of the game mechanics in this one.
I've heard a lot of top Foxes talk about how Fox is a little bit worse than before.
Yeah.
Larry Lurr specifically mentioned something about Fox. His aggressiveness doesn't carry over as well as people would think.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of where he's going to shine, if he does, no pun intended, sorry. If he does well in this next, in Ultimate, it's going to come down to the physics of the game because he's probably going to lose a lot. Footstools being techable now means a huge change for a lot of his like low percent like strings. I don't even know how footstools will interact with his forward air. I don't know if he'll be able to get cheese off stage with forward air footstool. Plus his side B apparently stops when it hits a shield or something like that.
Yeah, the
very
shield,
interesting.
It seems that they've changed the mechanic where you can like move through opponents and move through shields, which that's a huge aspect of movement in. I believe it's in all Smash games, but it's definitely emphasized heavily in Smash 4.
Oh yeah.
Just being able to freely move past your opponent for the sake of whether or not you're crossing them up, if you're looking to reposition yourself, if you're getting out of the corner. And those are all really big aspects of Fox's play because he needs room to move. And the fact that Fox Illusion has always been able to just position you at a great distance very quickly, and now it just hits a literal wall, it definitely dampens the utility of the move, and I feel like it's going to put a big hamper on his overall game plan. And as a fan of watching Fox, it kind of hurts to see just because a lot of that movement's going to get stifled. The character is going to have to take to the air more, which traditionally he doesn't fare as well out when he's not in his own combos. So, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a lot of seeing how it works in execution, seeing where that character's meta develops. But it doesn't look too promising on release.
Yeah. I think Fox is going to be a character that kind of takes a nosedive in the beginning. And if he does do better, it's because people will learn the engine and learn his combos, and they'll basically figure it out. But I think in the beginning, yeah, he's going to take a hit.
Oh yeah.
So let's move on to the last character, which is Pikachu. So Pikachu's biggest... I'm sorry. One more thing about Fox is that his Final Smash is different.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a much cooler Final Smash. It makes me actually like his Final Smash. I hated his old Final Smash.
Landmaster.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That was such a lame Final Smash, especially the way it was used. You just kind of carry people off the top.
I always hated that.
Yeah, it's so like
Now
it's
he
so
calls
clearly
them the
not what
boys.
they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he rolls through with the squad. Executes and then dips. That's cool. It's much more like Star Fox than his Landmaster. Like,
Right. And it's
Speaking of the other squad members, you think the calls will return from?
I
four
heard somewhere
Bros?
that it was confirmed that they're not.
Really?
Yeah, so on Twitter, someone had asked David Hayter, who is the voice of Solid Snake, character that's making a comeback for
Kodak apparently. He said he's not working on
Yeah,
that, right?
they never asked him to come in to voice anything new for the Kodak conversations, which, if you down-talked in it in a specific way on Shadow Moses Island, Snake would have a conversation with one of his crew members about whoever he's fighting. And there's a lot of new faces compared to the last time he's made an official appearance.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah.
And if Snake's not getting new ones, then you can imagine that the Star Fox crew won't as well.
So
So that's
then maybe-
unfortunate.
neither will the
Maybe only,
Kid Icarus gang.
I was thinking maybe only the Kid Icarus gang will stay.
That would be very pleasant.
I like their Palutina's Guides. I think that's the best one by far.
Yeah, they're very fun. The Kid Icarus Uprising cast has a lot of fun with their characters.
Oh yeah.
They're very well voice acted, and Smash 4 has a very large cast, so there's a lot for the characters to talk about. I'd imagine Chrom has something to say since his last cameo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now that
yeah.
he is playable, which that's another character to mention for Kirby's copy ability. Forgot what Chrom. Chrom also has Aether, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Chrom has the swing that Roy has.
Right.
It's just as bad.
Oh, Flare Blade. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has that.
Those,
End of
those
that
are
discussion.
generally bad to copy. So all right, so let's go to our last character. Like I said, Pikachu. The only, not the only. What is this?
The only big change.
The biggest change, I guess, is the neutral air.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
He's Mewtwo's now.
Yeah, it's very
Basically.
very similar to Mewtwo's. It's a multi-hit electrical, like you can move with it, and it's just like zap, 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 zap. Seems way better, I think.
Now, actually, I wanted to make sure I had this discussion here with someone from the Smash 4 side because Pikachu's Nair traditionally has been like his neutral tool. Like this is my space. I'm coming in. I'm landing. I'm getting that space. That's how it works in Melee. In Smash 4, it's part of his combos. It's his get off me tool. It's a kill option in a lot of parts. That's gone now. We haven't seen the move kill.
Right.
We haven't seen much of the move, but it won't kill now. It's very different in function for its combos. Since it looks a lot like Mewtwo, I feel like it's reasonable to expect it to act like Mewtwo's in combos. And Mewtwo's always been about moving with his combos, any game that he's in, really. Pikachu, kind of a bit more static, pun intended for
Yeah,
that one.
Pikachu will like zip to a spot, hit the opponent like away, usually with Nair or up air, and then go to that spot and hit them again. But now
Yeah.
it looks like you're going to have to kind of drag them along. Very similar to how back air used to be used, the spinning back air.
Right.
And is back air still the spinning one? Do we know that?
I believe so.
So then that's two moves that are going to fill the same role. If Pikachu had the 64 back air where it was just like a kick, just like a little,
be terrifying.
then like that would make more sense. But now it looks like two moves that do the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
So how do you feel about fighting a Pikachu that's not going to be able to just press the big green button and kill you now?
I very rarely fight Pikachus. Our only local Pikachu is Eon. He very rarely shows up. So honestly, I don't have much an opinion because I don't fight many of them. I mean, as far as I'm aware of, at least my personal matchup, I just swing my big sword. He doesn't do anything about
Pikachu
it.
seems like would definitely have a hard time with a big sword, especially since Pikachu is such an in-fighter, you know?
Oh yeah. The only thing I really find annoying about him is his height. He could just kind of duck under certain things, and it's very annoying at times.
And it seems like he's kept a lot of that too. Like they take advantage of the fact that he's a small mouse, and
Oh, yeah.
he will move around as such.
His mobility would definitely be
Am I
in size.
wrong in saying that that's a different Final Smash, only slightly?
Yeah, you don't control the. I don't even know what they try to call that.
Volt tackle.
Volt tackle. That's what they call Volt tackle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough.
In the Pokemon games, it's a very normal move. It's definitely not that.
Oh yeah.
Nonetheless, in previous iterations of Smash, you control it. It's a ball that you move around and attack with. It controls horribly.
I've never understood how. to
It's like
actually
playing an
control that.
underwater level and an ice level of a
At the same
platformer while it takes place in a sewer. So you know it's the worst possible thing you're controlling. Now it's just sort of you connect with it and he darts around.
Right.
Which is, I actually like this change. It's like a fundamental change to most Final Smashes, where instead of them being oddly interactive and useless,
You want to get right to the punch, right?
yeah,
to the
it's
point.
just like it connected. You're getting hit.
You're dying.
Have a good day.
Probably.
So wherever Final Smash finds itself, whether it's in casual play or if the Final Smash meter finds its way into a side bracket, it's worth noting
Probably.
that Pikachu can do something with his now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today to talk about the Ultimate roster. I'd like to talk more about them next time if we get a chance. Maybe we can talk about the secret characters.
The original secret
Secrets.
characters,
Yes.
Melee's, like
Some
the
of
first
Melee crew.
wave.
Yeah. We'll talk more about those next time. However, before we do go, I do want to plug a few things. So we have some events coming up at Aeon Gaming that I'd love to see some of you guys at. So we were talking about our good friend Yoshi here, and we are having a Yoshi-themed event this Saturday, actually. Escape from Yoshi's Island. Yes.
Oh,
So we, it's a Smash 4 regional. Got some out-of-region talent. Who's coming to this? Obviously, we got the Buzz. He's
Light.
coming.
Yep.
Light.
DeBuzz, Light. As far as Yoshi specifically go, of course, Raptor is in attendance, who's going to be bringing back his Yoshi.
Finally.
Yeah, for those of you who have followed the local scene or have just been familiar with Raptor, regarded as the world's best Yoshi, he's sort of gone on a hiatus with Yoshi. He's played more characters like Mario and Fox to try and get a better feel for, growing out fundamentals and not just forward airing for neutral. It's coming back in grand fashion. I know he's going to be in doubles with Suarez, his dinosaur partner in crime, and also regarded as one of the top Yoshis.
Oh yeah.
Someone who's able to keep beat for beat with Raptor has to be regarded on that skill level as well. Lucius was making a return, another local Yoshi who's resigned more to his Rivals of Aether career, but is deciding to bring back his purple Yoshi in grand fashion.
There will be Rivals of Aether at the event too, which is nice. There's going to be more than just the Smash 4 bracket. This is
Right.
going to be it's going to be a fun Yoshi versus the World exhibition. So it's going to be like a crew battle.
Exhibition?
Yes, an exhibition.
Exhibition.
Yes.
Shout outs to Mr. Mojo for the
Yes, that was
pun
his
that I have to
suggestion.
hear all week.
So the exhibition will have. I'm going to do 5v5. I'm going to find the best Yoshis, and I'm going to find some similarly skilled non-Yoshis, and we're going to pit them against each other. Maybe I'll do 6v6. I don't know. Whatever we have time for, and kind of see who comes out on top, the Yoshis or the world. And then we're going to have a Yoshi round robin. We're going to have a Super Mario Party bracket. This event's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't signed up yet, sign up at smash.gg/escape. So I hope to see you guys there if you can make it. On top of that, I'll just go over these quickly. We have Super Aeon. That is a Melee regional. We're going to have actually way more talent than there should be here. We're going to have Over Triforce, and we're going to have Triff, two of Europe's best players.
So that's Spain coming out in full force, basically.
Yes. We're also going to have Absent Page. There's a lot of top 50 players that are going to be at this event for no reason. So if you play Melee, come out to this event for sure. That's on the 20th of this month. That's a Saturday. That's one Saturday after this one. And it is it's going to be a dope time. Smash.gg/Super Aeon 2018 is where you can sign up.
We also have Night of the Living Dead, which is going to be a event later on in October. That is for what we would like to consider dead games, but have very dedicated scenes to them.
So Brawl?
Yes, Brawl is actually there. So
Yes.
Skullgirls, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
And Infinite, both dead.
Died far too young, in my opinion. But nonetheless, MVC is represented quite well. I believe we're thinking about King of Fighters 13 being there.
No.
I've been told Sailor Moon S is going to be at it because I keep on being
Not
told
if I
to
can
study
help
that
it.
game.
We're going to have good dead games. We're going to have Street Fighter 4. We're going to have, what other Street Fighter game is going to be there, Trev?
Probably Third Strike.
Third Strike's going to be there.
That's the best dead game, honestly.
Yeah. And then the Marvel games. We're going to have Dragon Ball Fighter is going to be there. It's not a dead game, obviously, but
That seems
You
like
need
some
something
wish.
to draw in, like
Right.
other-
That
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like some wishful thinking from our friends at Gen Game.
we're also going to have. No. I mean, it's not that we want it to be dead. It's that we want to have a headline game that's going to draw in some people.
Which
you
is
know?
fair enough.
Yeah.
Plus, there's enough dead characters who come back to
Soon to
life.
be dead. No, that game's got too good of a fan base, unfortunately. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Fortunately.
Skullgirls was born.
Skullgirls and Brawl are the two ones that I'm most excited about. So if you guys play Brawl, or if you play any old fighting games, Street Fighter 4, or even if you play the upcoming, if you can play the upcoming Soul Calibur 6, we're gonna have a spooky Soul Calibur 6 bracket where everyone has to wear skeleton skins, and it's gonna be really scary. So that's gonna be the Saturday before Halloween. So that's the 27th, I think.
28th?
No, that's the 27th, and. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's smash.gg/NOTLD. That's Night of the Living Dead.
See, my favorite part about that event is MVCI. So remember how when Dragon Ball Fighters got confirmed as the Evo slot and everyone
Yeah.
made fun of MVCI got stolen slot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now my idea is you should have a crew battle: DBZF players versus MVCI players.
In
like
what
have
game?
them play each other's games,
Oh,
and like whoever has the
That'd
better
actually be
overall
really
record.
funny.
I mean,
That
you
could be a
know,
lot of fun.
That's something to definitely go over.
I mean, killer versus victim.
Right.
Who wins?
I'd love to keep chatting, but I think that's all the time we have for this week. Guys, when you are not on the podcast, where can we find you? Maybe on Twitter, where you have a Twitter account we can follow.
Solar Arts SSB.
And Frank, where
I'll
we
be at Hangman XII.
Sure. And I am Face. You can find me at _the_face. And that's an episode of the book. That was Super Smash Show. Follow us as well. Follow Super Smash Show, Facebook, Twitter. I think I even made an Instagram. I don't know.
Really?
Follow us everywhere. And I would love if you guys could share the show around. Since we are still new, I would love to see some new people tune into the show. So the Super Smash Show would appreciate it very much if you could do that. Next week, I'm going to maybe experiment with some listener questions. So if you want, hit us up on Twitter at Super Smash Show with your questions that we will read out next week. Once again, thanks everybody for tuning in. My name's Face, and we're out.